Revealed, how one inspiring response to a $1 million challenge transformed everything for her future. Megan Thompson stood behind the counter at Betty's Diner, the glossy surface reflecting the worn faces of her patrons and their mundane conversations. At 32, her life felt like a treadmill stuck on a relentless cycle of work and worry. As she wiped down the table, she overheard a couple at the window discussing a contest. A $1 million grant for innovative ideas in sustainable agriculture, words that ignited a flicker of hope and fear deep within her. Could this be her chance? A chance to lift her children, Jake and Lucy, from the shackles of financial strain? Her mind raced back to her grandfather, the man who had instilled in her the value of hard work, resilience, and a sense of community. Vivid images of him sharing stories of triumph echoed in her ears, but so did the voice of her estranged mother, drowning out those memories with her scathing dismissal of Megan's ambitions. What if they were right? A cooperative blending technology with traditional farming? It felt ridiculous and naive, a distant dream that could shatter under scrutiny. As the thought lingered, doubt clawed at her heart. She saw herself presenting before the judges, the skeptical glances, the hushed whispers questioning her ability to lead. The last thing she wanted was to face another round of rejection. Her mother's application loomed like a dark shadow beside her own, an exactingly polished methodology that felt sterile and devoid of spirit. The day of the first presentation dawned, wrapping Megan in a shroud of dread. She arrived nauseous, her stomach twisted in knots, desperately trying to locate the confidence she had built up. But as she stood before the panel, everything unraveled. The judges probed her on the specifics, her community's readiness, funding pathways, and her own qualifications, all with tired eyes. She faltered, answering in a voice that felt foreign, and watched as hope slipped through her fingers like grains of sand. Defeated, she stumbled off the stage, feeling small, unworthy, and tormented by her mother's presence and past failures. In the days that followed, working at the diner turned into a blur of numbing motions, sweeping away dreams like the crumbs of unfinished meals. Just when despair nearly claimed her, Mr. Caldwell, a retired agricultural scientist who ate at the diner, stepped in. He saw potential in her idea, a flicker of light others had extinguished. His support was both a balm and a burden, a lifeline that also dredged up painful memories of her mother's abandonment of her dreams. How could she trust this path when so much had shattered before? As the final pitch day loomed closer, anxiety suffocated her. The stakes felt impossibly high, not just for her, but for her children. She envisioned the life her grandfather fought for, and her mother's cruel dismissal echoed louder. Would anyone take her seriously? Megan's thoughts spiraled, pinching her with anxiety. What if she utterly failed? Standing backstage, she caught sight of her mother speaking confidently, a polished persona casting a stark comparison against her own uncertainty. The jagged edge of resentment mixed with the gnawing wish for approval from the very person who had crushed her dreams. As the moment approached, panic surged. Could she share this platform with a woman who never believed in her? As she prepared to walk onto the stage, her heart raced, but she noticed something more profound. A pulse of determination swelled inside her. She had to fight for her vision, for her children, and for the legacy of dreams long denied. Megan drew a deep breath and stepped into the blaring lights, fueled by hope and haunted by doubt. In that universe of skepticism and heightened need, she knew this was her moment to redefine everything. But whether she could seize it remained to be seen. Megan took her first step onto the stage and felt as though she was stepping onto a battleground. The glaring lights temporarily blinded her but also ignited a fire within. The judges were no longer just faceless critics, they were a myriad of doubts, ambitions, and ambitions she too had harbored within herself. She took a moment to gather her thoughts, struggling to remember why she was there, beyond her desire for approval from her mother. The words began to form, but as she spoke, another voice emerged, urging her to not merely present, but to connect. Imagine a world where local farms thrive, where technology complements tradition instead of exploiting it, she heard herself say, her tone steadier, more potent. The flicker of confidence urged her to internalize the essence of her idea, to transcend metrics and statistics and infuse passion into her pitch. Yet, as she engaged the panel, her mother's piercing gaze lingered in the periphery, a constant reminder of her past insecurities. In that moment, Megan confronted a truth she had avoided: rejection, whether from the panel or her family, could no longer define her worth. She had to confront this challenge not just for the grant, but for herself. The presentation flowed between her dreams and the practical steps needed to achieve them. She talked about creating a cooperative that would not only support sustainable farming but also empower local families. Her family. Each detail brought Megan closer to the vision she saw, bridging the gap between uncertainty and belief. But just as she began to gain traction, a judge posed a question that struck like a gut punch: what foundations do you have to ensure success? What makes you think you can lead such a project? The room held its breath. Cold, razor-like fear crept back in, the suffocating chill that had thwarted her before. Did she really believe she could? A moment of silence stretched painfully, revealing the fissures of her conviction. Megan drew on that pulse of determination she had felt backstage. She recalled the conversations with Mr. Caldwell the night spent over coffee, where he spoke of her potential with unwavering belief. She wasn't just a single mother with a fading dream, she was a conduit for change. "I have the drive," she retorted, an edge of defiance in her voice. "But what's more vital is the community behind this initiative, the families ready to step up, transform their practices, and make real impact. We all share the same struggle, and together, our resilience can bridge any gaps." A soft murmur traveled through the audience, and the judges exchanged glances. It wasn't just an answer, it was a call to arms, a poignant moment of vulnerability paired with strength. For the first time that day, she felt the distance between herself and her goals decrease, knots of fear unraveling with every word. As her presentation concluded, applause rang out, a sanctuary of support shielding her from lingering doubts. She stepped off stage, her heart pounding with a tumultuous mix of hope and fear. Maybe she could transform everything after all. However, as she walked back to the diner later that evening, a nagging thought clawed at her consciousness. What would happen if she succeeded? Would her mother finally acknowledge her? Or would this victory create a deeper rift, one more painful than before? The questions lingered ominously as she prepared to face whatever came next, knowing that true change meant not just victory for herself, but also challenging the demons that had haunted her family for too long. The path ahead glimmered with possibility, but the real battle was just beginning. Megan's heart raced as she stepped into the diner, each clang of the bell above the door a reminder that she was back in the familiar, chaotic sanctuary of her life. The aroma of burgers and fries filled the air, a comforting cacophony of sounds and smells that ironically shifted her focus back to reality. In that moment, the applause had faded, and she was left with the stark contrast of expectation and familiarity. She slipped into her usual booth, but the space felt different. The walls were plastered with old photographs of the town faces of families who had struggled and thrived. It echoed her own journey, the delicate balance of ambition and survival weighted with the disparity of her past. As she stirred her cup of coffee, her mind remained unsettled, circling the implications of her pitch. What now? The question tapped insistently at the back of her mind. The allure of victory was now tainted by the fear of the unknown. Her mother had always been a shadow looming just outside the light, constantly reminding her of where she came from, constantly questioning her choices. What if she earned that grant? Would her mother simply see it as another ambitious blunder, another chance for ridicule? But the urge to break free from that cycle was strong. As she sipped, warmth coursed through her, igniting a smoldering resolve. She thought of Mr. Caldwell's persistent encouragement. "You have the ability to mold not just your future, Megan, but those around you." The wisdom hung heavily in her mind, urging her to redefine her narrative. That was no longer a mere dream, it was a possibility she could no longer ignore. She grabbed a napkin and began drafting the next steps. First, she needed to assemble a team, a group ready to share her vision. Her thoughts swirled around names of farmers and friends, those who might stand with her. Each scribble was fuel for her drive, mixing plans for community outreach with resource allocation. What technology could help maintain tradition while ensuring prosperity? She could visualize workshops where families learned skills to innovate their farms, a network of support and shared knowledge. But doubt crept in like a storm cloud, darkening her enthusiasm. The lingering question of her mother's validation became a heavy weight hanging in the air. What would her approval mean, anyway? Was it worth perching her self-worth on her mother's judgment? The thought sent a sharp pang through her chest. Megan's hand froze, hovering above the napkin. Could she transcend her past to forge a future worthy of respect? The reality sank in: she would have to detach her success from her mother's validation. It was uncharted territory, a confrontation she had avoided for too long. Suddenly, the clang of a plate jolted her focus. An elderly woman seated nearby was struggling with her meal, the confrontation escalating into a public scene. Without thinking, Megan slid out of the booth, rushing over to offer her assistance. While helping her navigate the disarray, Megan felt a flicker of something unexpected igniting inside her, a recognition of her own capacity to help others. In that moment, clarity washed over her. Transforming the community was not simply a professional goal, it was inexorably intertwined with her personal journey of healing and growth. As she returned to her booth, a new determination surged within her. This was about taking control, about breaking free from her past while forging a path illuminated by her own resolve and agency. Grabbing her pen once more, Megan began to write not just a plan for the grant proposal, but a manifesto of self-worth and assertion of who she was becoming. But as she filled the napkin with visions of success, her phone buzzed with a message that halted her breath: a notification from the panel. The weight of that digital missive loomed over her, a potential harbinger of acceptance or rejection. What lay ahead could redefine everything she had fought for, the culmination of transformation or a return to the shadows. The moment had arrived to face the echoes of her past, ready or not. Would she embrace her emerging identity, or would she let the chains of doubt tether her once more? The tension was suffocating as Megan stared at her phone, the notification casting a shadow over her freshly penned aspirations. Her thumb hovered over the screen, wrestling with the desire to open the message and confront whatever news awaited. Doubt hissed in her ear, whispering that she wasn't ready for the verdict, while a counter voice, the one ignited during her act of kindness, urged her to push through. Megan's thoughts were a cacophony of conflict. She visualized the countless hours of work, the dreams she had begun to sculpt, but now it all felt precarious, like glass balancing on a fragile edge. Finally, with a proactive shove of will, she clicked to open the notification. The panel's response was succinct, but the weight of the words sank heavily in her chest: "We appreciate your submission and would like to schedule a follow-up interview." Relief washed over her, mixed with a swell of apprehension. This was her chance, but it required transforming a vague vision into concrete, persuasive dialogue. Megan's mind raced ahead, piecing together her next steps. She wouldn't just defend her pitch, she had to breathe life into it. She nearly crumpled the napkin filled with scribbles in her hands. The sketches and projections of communal workshops and farmer collaborations began to swirl into an organized attack plan. Each point needed to speak to empowerment, not merely as an ideal but as a strategic initiative. What if she structured this proposal not just around farming resources but around rebuilding identities rooted in collaboration? The thought sparked adrenaline through her limbs. She could shift the narrative from her past weaknesses into a future of collective resilience. Her pen flew across the napkin, turning her swirling thoughts into clear outlines. Yet, an unbidden realization surfaced, each thought punctuated by the image of her mother's disapproval looming somewhere constant and ever-present. Would her mother even understand the ambition that had ignited within her? Megan knew she had to transcend that fear once and for all. With newfound determination, she formulated her plan. First, she would reach out to potential team members who shared her vision. Then a meeting, where they could jointly define specific roles and responsibilities, actualizing the idea into tangible actions. As she sipped her coffee, the environment buzzed around her, seemingly supportive of her burgeoning resolve. She envisioned Sarah, the tech-savvy daughter of a neighboring farmer, who often volunteered at local schools. Megan imagined inviting her to spearhead the technological aspect, bridging traditional methodologies with contemporary practices. The prospect of what they could achieve together was intoxicating, creating a local framework to foster sustainable practices, all fields flourishing under mentorship and shared resources. Yet as Megan forged ahead with her planning, a nagging doubt turned her focus inward. What if she stumbled during the follow-up interview? Should she prepare to navigate deflection from her mother or confront her head-on about their strained relationship? The prospect of those conversations terrified her, a confrontation with a specter more ominous than the panel's judgment. Just then, the door swung open, flooding in a brisk gust that rattled the light fixtures. She glanced up to see Mr. Caldwell enter, his presence alone filling the diner with optimism. He caught her gaze and made a beeline for her booth. Without hesitation, he slid in across from her, a familiar smile lighting his expression. "Megan," he said, leaning forward, warmth threading through his tone. "I heard about your submission. How are you feeling?" For a moment, her carefully constructed thoughts crashed, abandoning coherence. What would she say? Veracity collided with the facade she often tried to project. But perhaps here was a chance for clarity and growth. She took a deep breath and allowed the words to escape. "I'm terrified but determined. And I want to share my vision," but her voice trailed off, as if the belief in herself was a fragile balloon, floating up but tethered by invisible strings. The questions yanked at her insides. Did she have the resolve to execute this vision? Or would self-imposed limitations and external scrutiny snuff out her momentum? Megan felt the urge to confide fully, to seek wisdom and guidance, but the shakes of uncertainty gripped her mind tighter. What would she learn from Mr. Caldwell, or worse, what if vulnerability revealed more flaws than strengths? Before she could decide, he placed a firm hand on hers, grounding her. The time has come to face not only your challenges but to embrace the voice within. The challenge looming ahead felt more personal than merely professional, but it was clear to her now, there was no turning back. As those words echoed in her mind, a wave of anticipation washed over her. She had to commit not just to the proposal, but to her own evolution. But now, she faced an immense decision. Would she let fear dictate her worth, or would she step into the light of her capacity to succeed? As she opened her mouth to respond, her phone buzzed once again with a new message, a jolt that left her breathless, the potential for affirmation or loss sparking fear deep within her. Would this revelation propel her forward or push her into retreat? Megan's heart raced as she glanced at her phone. The anticipation felt electric. What if the message contained the final piece of encouragement she desperately needed, or would it confirm her worst fears? She hesitated, her hand trembling for a moment before she forced herself to read the content. A quick scroll revealed the sender, Sarah, the tech-savvy neighbor she'd been contemplating reaching out to. "Hey Megan. I heard about your submission. Let us meet up. I have some ideas that could really make your vision resonate. Text me when you're free." Her shoulders relaxed, but a pang of self-doubt crept in again. Would she be able to communicate her mission effectively? She knew she couldn't let this opportunity slip away and decided then that tomorrow would be the day she would meet with Sarah. Megan felt a flicker of excitement. Collaboration was already beginning to bloom. As she left the diner, the cool air greeted her with a freshness she hadn't noticed before. It almost felt like a promise. Yet, lingering inside her was that intense discussion with her mother that she had been avoiding ever since she embraced her ambitions. The instability of her relationship with her mother had always felt like a shadow, darkening her every ounce of courage and motivation. Megan had spent a lifetime trying to win her approval, always feeling like she was lacking less than, not good enough. But was that narrative still hers to live out? Contemplating this, she walked with purpose towards home, envisioning a new reality where she confronted the issue head-on. What if her mother could finally see her for who she wanted to become? Maybe sharing her vision would bridge some of the emotional distance that had strained their relationship. After a restless night filled with possibilities and doubts, she awoke with clarity. No more tiptoeing around the edges of her life, she was ready to dive deep. When she met Sarah the next afternoon, it was as if they were kindred spirits, sharing thoughts and visions like they had known each other forever. Sarah proposed leveraging her tech skills to create an interactive platform that showcased the essence of Megan's vision, a space where farmers could connect and share resources. Your idea of building identities around collaboration is so vital, Megan. Let's make it a reality. The excitement cracking through her skin was palpable as ideas bounced between them, their enthusiasm intertwining in a dance of possibilities. Yet, beneath that exhilaration lay an unsettling thought: who would truly support her in this quest? Would her mother, grounded in traditional expectations and old narratives, be able to understand the change she desired? Each step forward felt heavier when lightened by the promise of possibility. Her resolve sharpened. She would need to confront that looming specter of disapproval if she was truly going to succeed. As the meeting wrapped up, Sarah clapped her hands together, an anchor to Megan's swirling thoughts. Let's present this to the panel. The follow-up interview is your platform to shine. The excitement settled into Megan's core, but something nagged at her. The confrontation with her mother loomed larger now. She glanced at Sarah. What if I fail? What if this falls apart? Sarah's eyes sparkled with confidence. You define your own possibilities, Megan. Doubt will always be there, it's about how you rise above it. As she stepped out of the coffee shop, a simmering energy circulated through her veins. Tomorrow, she would ask her mother to meet. The very thought was paralyzing, and yet it felt like a liberation. For the first time in her life, she would not only pursue her dreams but also lay bare the complex fabric of her relationship with her mother. And there, a chilling reminder whispered in her ear, she might very well find herself facing the hardest truth yet. Would her mother embrace her evolution, or would she be met with disapproval? The crossroads of acceptance and rejection awaited her, and as Megan took a deep breath, she realized that this next step might change everything. The moment had arrived, but would she have the strength to rewrite her own story? Would this transformation cost her a relationship or forge a new foundation filled with understanding? Emboldened, yet trembling, she picked up her phone. The message she crafted felt heavier than just words. It was her truth, demanding to be laid bare. The weight of her anticipation hung thick in the air as she contemplated sending it. Would this be the push she needed, or the catalyst for her greatest fears? Megan sat on her bed, the phone pressed against her thigh as she stared at her reflection in the mirror across the room. Her hair fell in soft waves, framing her face, but her brow remained deeply wrinkled in contemplation. The message to her mother weighed heavily in her mind, her heart racing with the fear of what the response could entail. Would it be an affirmation of support, or would it shatter her hopes like glass underfoot? She realized then that this moment wasn't just about her mother, it was a crucial step toward reclaiming her narrative. The tremors of doubt still echoed within her, but an undercurrent of resolution began to pulse alongside them. Building the digital platform with Sarah felt monumental, and if she was to fully grasp that dream, she needed to start here, with honesty. Taking a deep breath, she opened her text app. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard as she battled with how to phrase her feelings. Each word felt like it carried weight, each sentence a potential to either bridge the gap or widen it. After a few false starts only to delete them quickly, she typed, "Hi Mom, can we talk? I've been thinking a lot about where I'm headed, and I'd love to share my ideas with you." Though it was simple, the message felt like a declaration of war against her old fears. Sending it was like releasing a breath she hadn't realized she had been holding. Her thumb hovered over the send button, but in that moment, she was flooded with memories of childhood conversations filled with expectations and disappointments. What if her mother's response mirrored the judgments of her past? As she sat in silence, she felt the walls of her small room close in, the familiar shadows growing heavier against her resolve. Yet, an internal voice broke through the disquiet. Change required a willingness to confront discomfort. Failure was a possibility she would have to embrace in order to move forward. With newfound conviction, she tapped send. The minutes stretched like hours.
Megan's thoughts flitted between scenes, her mother's disapproving frown, moments of validation when she was doing well, and the thread of tension as they navigated their complicated relationship. Her phone buzzed. The notification felt like a thunderclap in the hushed atmosphere of her room. Heart thumping, she grabbed it eagerly. But it was a message from Sarah. "Can't wait to bring our ideas to life. Let us meet tomorrow again to brainstorm more." An unexpected surge of positivity washed over her as she realized that regardless of her mother's response, she would not be alone. Sarah believed in her, and for now, that was enough to keep her afloat amidst the swirling uncertainties. As night deepened, Megan paced her apartment, mentally rehearsing what she would say. She envisioned each argument she might face, the concern reflecting in her mother's eyes. But she also pictured a budding understanding, a moment where everything could shift, the recognition of Megan as a woman with dreams, not just a reflection of her mother's expectations. Tomorrow would be about taking charge of her story, but it was also about vulnerability. She would be unveiling her true self, and that in itself felt terrifying yet exhilarating. With the soft glow of her bedside lamp illuminating her face, she jotted down key points for their conversation, the breaths between her words feeling like tentative steps toward bravery. Would her mother meet her at this crossroads with acceptance or dismissal? The tension was undeniable as Megan's gaze turned toward the window, where the stars flickered like distant, untraveled roads. Tomorrow was more than an appointment, it was an invitation to a deeper understanding of herself and her relationship with her mother. In that moment, she recognized a fundamental truth: regardless of the outcome, this was a leap into her own uncharted sky. And as she prepared for the unknown, the power of potential hung tantalizingly close. The next day, as she would navigate that conversation, an unsettling thought loomed larger: what if the truth she was exposing led to a fracturing she couldn't mend? Would the transformation she pursued cost her more than she was willing to pay? The morning sun spilled through the window, casting warm light that felt almost like a spotlight on Megan as she prepared for her meeting with her mother. Her usually chaotic thoughts began to settle into a distinct rhythm with each passing moment, the beat echoing a mixture of anxious anticipation and resolute determination. She was stepping onto a stage where every word could either build a bridge or craft an impassable chasm. She stood before the mirror, examining her reflection again. The shadows beneath her eyes spoke of sleepless nights, but a flicker of resolve ignited in her core. Today was not merely about facing her mother, it was about facing herself, the woman she was striving to become. With a soft exhale, she donned her favorite blazer. It reminded her of professional aspirations, moments of triumph, and the identity she wished to embody. As she adjusted the collar, a sense of empowerment radiated through her. This was her armor, a barrier against self-doubt, strengthening her fragile hope. The minutes ticking by felt both infinite and fleeting, each second a countdown to a critical juncture. Megan decided to take one more look at her notes, simple talking points to guide her through what felt like an impending storm. There was an undeniable weight to sharing her desires, to vocalize her ambitions that had silently simmered for years below the surface. What would it feel like to claim her voice? Yet, an intrusive thought crept in: what if her mother remained tied to perceptions of Megan's childhood self, the one who sought validation in grades and accolades? What if she couldn't see beyond those confines? Breaching that wall was essential, but how? The drive to her mother's house felt surreal, the vibrant morning contrasted starkly with the internal turmoil swirling within her. With every stoplight, doubt reared its head. Each red light seemed to mirror her fear of stagnation, echoing the moments in her life spent standing still, waiting for permission to step forward. Arriving at her childhood home, Megan's heart raced. The familiarity wrapped around her like a favorite blanket, both comforting and suffocating. As she knocked, the memories flooded back: shared laughter, bright holidays, and below them, the shadows of disagreements, of disappointment echoing through her formative years. Her mother answered the door, a vibrant smile failing to mask the underlying concern etched across her face. "Megan. It's been a while. Come in." Megan entered hesitantly, the cozy interior contrasting sharply with the harsh reality of their history.
They settled at the kitchen table, the wooden surface laden with remnants of breakfast. A sense of nostalgia washed over her, but as the conversation drew closer, apprehension coiled within her chest. "Mom, I've been working on a project with a friend," Megan began, her voice steady despite the tremor lingering beneath. "It's a digital platform aimed at promoting creative content, something I feel really passionate about." As she spoke, she noticed the slight raise of her mother's brow, a response akin to the tightening of strings on a violin, signaling that a performance awaited. Yet, as she continued, recounting her dreams and ambitions, a flicker of something unexpected broke through the faint glow of interest in her mother's eyes. Then, a challenge emerged, a question dipped in skepticism. "But what about your stability? The security of a traditional role? You know how hard it is in this field." The weight of those familiar fears tried to creep in, desperate to bind her to the past. Megan steadied herself, focused. "I understand, but I need to pursue what I love. My passions matter. They are part of who I am." That declaration hung in the air, reverberating with the intensity of truth. There in that cozy kitchen, she stood at the precipice of change, a chance to forge a new future rooted in authenticity. But would her mother acknowledge her as an emerging professional rather than the child lingering in the shadows? Would she grasp the significance of Megan's pursuits? Megan's heart raced. Vulnerability and courage battled within her. The next words could either affirm her path or echo once again with doubt. As she studied her mother's face, the moment stretched deep into uncertainty, reminiscent of every time she had hesitated to voice her dreams. Would her mother respond with understanding, or would their dialogue reopen wounds better left to heal? The air was thick with possibilities, and Megan held her breath, ready to navigate whatever lay ahead. Would this conversation mark the beginning of reconciliation with her own ambitions, or would it reinforce the chasm she feared? As they locked eyes, one question lingered ominously, like the sweet scent of autumn leaves waiting to drop. How much was she truly willing to risk for her dreams? The silence hung heavily in the air, charged with unspoken words and possibilities. Megan's gaze searched her mother's face, looking for signs of encouragement, but all she saw was cautious skepticism. The tension felt palpable, wrapping around them like a fog, obscuring any clear path forward. "Mom, I really believe in this," she pressed, her voice steadier now, fueled by an unexpected urgency. "It's not just about the job, it's about the impact I can make." The words spilled out, each syllable imbued with the passion she had nurtured in the quiet corners of her mind. But then, as if a dam had broken, her mother's response came crashing through. "Impact is all well and good, but can it pay the bills?" The question sliced through Megan's heart, old wounds reopening as she remembered countless conversations that echoed with practicality over dreams. Instinctively, she flinched. Megan felt herself slipping back into the role of the unsure child, craving approval but unable to comply with the unyielding expectations that had shaped her upbringing. But she refused to allow that discomfort to swallow her whole. "Mom, pursue what I love, that has to be enough," Megan protested, pushing through the burgeoning doubt. Her voice steadied as she summoned every ounce of determination. "I can't keep sacrificing my happiness for fear of instability. Maybe I can show you that what I'm doing has potential." Her mother's eyes narrowed slightly, the formidable wall of skepticism reassembling. "You've always had big ideas, Megan. But this is real life. You need to think about the future." A pang of frustration flared within Megan. There was truth in those words, yet they felt like a tether pulling her back instead of propelling her forward. "I am thinking about the future," she replied, feeling fire ignite within her. "I want a future that fulfills me, not just one that pays the rent." Silence ensued again, thick like molasses. This was a crossroads fraught with emotional stakes for both of them. Megan felt the storm of her mother's fears swirling beneath the surface and recognized how deep those fears ran, an inheritance from years spent in uncertainty. But then came a tremor in her mother's voice. "It's just you're my only child. I want you to be secure." The veil momentarily lifted, revealing the vulnerability of a mother who had sacrificed much for stability in their lives. Megan noted the shift. Her mother was trying to protect her in the only way she knew, or perhaps holding on to the narrative of fear that had long been a part of their family story. In this moment, Megan realized how she could seize her own agency. "Let me show you," she said, her resolve crystallizing. "This isn't about rejecting security, it's about creating something new. Allow me to show you what I can achieve. Can we work on this together?" The question hung in the air, potent with possibility and risk. It was an invitation to shift from conflict to cooperation, but Megan felt the tension shift. Her vulnerability illuminated a path toward mutual understanding. Yet, uncertainty loomed. Would her mother respond with an embrace of support or retreat into the walls of concern? The seconds passed, each one a heartbeat filled with anticipation as they navigated this delicate moment. Megan's heart raced, laden with hope but shadowed by doubt. Today could transform everything, restore connection, and redefine their relationship. But clarity eluded her. The chasm was still there, and her mother was still searching for a reason to step across. Would love bridge the gap, or would the weight of past expectations hold them both hostage? As her mother opened her mouth to respond, uncertainty gripped Megan, the air shimmering with tension. What would be the answer? A rejection of her dreams or an embrace of her newfound identity? The future felt suspended, and she was left wondering how far she was willing to go to break the cycle. Just then, her mother's expression shifted, an all-too-familiar gleam of curiosity sparked in her eyes. "Okay, Megan, let us delve into this. What do you need from me?" And in that moment, as the promise of collaboration flickered to life, Megan realized she had just taken the first courageous step toward forging a future she yearned for. But a fresh wave of anxiety washed over her as new questions surged. Would she be ready to tackle the challenges ahead? What if she failed spectacularly in her pursuit? As she considered the strides necessary for this newfound partnership, doubts began to creep back in, entangling her hopes. As they unlocked an avenue of possibility, she grasped the precarious nature of ambition, a venture fraught with uncertainty and risk. One thing was clear, the next phase of her journey awaited, and it would demand every shred of confidence she could muster. With her ambition ignited, the next step loomed ominously, filled with potential but also trepidation. Would they navigate the ebbs and flows together, or fracture once again under the weight of expectations? Megan felt a trembling resolve settle in her bones. It was time to confront not just the ideals of her mother but the uncertainties of her own aspirations. Megan sat quietly in the living room, her heart still racing from their conversation. The transformation in her mother's demeanor perplexed her. It felt both like a breeze of fresh air and a gust of overwhelming doubt. What did her mother mean by collaborating? Was this just a fleeting moment of support or a genuine commitment to understand Megan's aspirations? With a lot to ponder, she busied herself with a pen and paper to clarify her plans. Her mind raced through the ideas she had nurtured, the initiative she wanted to launch, the community she aimed to uplift. Concrete steps began to materialize in her thoughts. What began as a vague vision slowly morphed into tactical objectives. Could this be the framework she and her mom could work on together? The past week's events sparked something new inside her, a desire to assert her independence while grounding her ambition with structure. She wrote down questions she knew would lead to critical conversations. What skills did she possess? What resources would she need moving forward? And most critically, how could she present her vision to her mother without invoking that familiar skepticism? Yet, despite her efforts to focus on these tangible plans, anxiety still gnawed at her. She feared that each moment spent preparing and strategizing could crumble into disappointment without the right support. A single thought haunted her: what if her mother's acceptance proved to be conditional? As those shadowy doubts loomed large, the weight of her own fears started to seep into her planning. Comparisons to her mother's choices began to invade her thoughts. Would her pursuit of passion and fulfillment ultimately be seen as just a youthful phase to her mom? Each shred of progress felt like stepping atop a precarious ledge. Megan shook off those feelings. This wasn't just about her mother's initial reactions, it was about breaking cycles. She was determined not to let doubt hold her back. Venturing off the beaten path needed courage, and she was starting to feel that spark. She began to outline a plan that might ignite interest in her mother's eyes, how they could work together to establish both accountability and mutual understanding. Once the pages were filled with her thoughts and strategies, Megan ventured into the kitchen. Her mother shuffled about, distractedly cleaning up an area of the counter. It was an ordinary sight, yet all of a sudden, Megan's nerves were back. Today would be the day she began the process of laying her ambitions bare, of asking for guidance while establishing her vision. "Mom," she started, her voice wavering slightly. "Can we talk about what this could look like?" Her mother turned, a mix of curiosity and caution evident in her expression. Megan swallowed hard, the fear of rejection tickling the edge of her resolve. She laid out her thoughts, framing them within the context of how they could engage together, combining resources, discussing roadblocks, and celebrating small victories. As the two engaged in conversation, it blossomed into a fascinating dialogue. Ideas merged, strategies sharpened, and Megan's initial uncertainty began to wane. Would that really appeal to the kind of impact you want? Her mother asked, tilting her head, embodying that protective skepticism once more. The moment carried weight, igniting conflict as Megan's heartbeat quickened. It began to feel like she was staking a claim not just on her aspirations but on her identity. She wrestled with the need to prove herself while also fostering an understanding of her mother's fears. "I need to find that balance," she thought, recognizing the value in their differing perspectives. But in the back of her mind, nagging questions lingered. Was her mother truly beginning to accept her journey, or was she simply indulging a fleeting whim to support her? This concern inexplicably simmered beneath the surface, casting a shadow over Megan's newfound clarity. As the conversation ebbed, a tentative agreement formed between them. They would set a time to discuss further plans and actionable steps. However, Megan knew that this was just the start of a much broader discussion. Deep down, she recognized another challenge looming on the horizon, the one that would grip her completely as reality set in. She would have to convince herself of her own worthiness, just as much as she would need to persuade her mother. With a delicate blend of determination and apprehension, Megan realized that the real hurdles were yet to come. Could she truly believe in herself enough to sell her dream, not just to her mother but to the world? Suddenly, a new thought pierced through. The opportunities for failure were vast, yet so too were the potential for transformation and success. As negotiations opened a terrain of challenges, she braced herself for the journey ahead, where each choice could either fortify her dreams or fracture everything she aimed to create. The next step required more than courage, it demanded an unyielding conviction that she could forge her destiny, despite amplified risks. But could she fully let go of the fear of disappointment, the echoes of her past looming behind every bold decision she made? The moment of truth was edging closer, and Megan could feel the stakes rising in her chest. It would take trust, courage, and a determination to overcome the hurdles. The path ahead felt obscured by doubt, but she understood that it was now or never. And as she pondered her mother's question earlier, she felt a reminder flicker inside her. The change she sought transcended beyond her aspirations, digging deeper into her self-worth. With a resolute heartbeat, she knew the real test loomed directly ahead. Would she be ready to step out of the shadow of fear and claim her future? The uncertainty crept in again, but for Megan, the moment had transformed a mere thought into an unavoidable challenge. Now she had to ask herself if she could dare to leap forward. The sun was barely rising, casting a soft glow through the kitchen window as Megan sat at the table, a steaming cup of coffee in hand. The air felt different today, a sense of optimism danced lightly around her. She had spent the night reflecting on her mother's earlier response and acknowledgement of her ambitions that felt like an opening door rather than just a hesitant nod. Yet, the true challenge lay ahead, demanding every ounce of courage she could muster. As she looked at her notes, outlining strategies to merge her vision with her mother's practicality, a feeling of determination swelled within her. "This is not just about the grant and the initiative," she whispered to herself, words wrapping around her consciousness like a warm blanket. "This is about proving my worth to myself." She could feel the gravity of that statement resonating within, pulling together threads of hope and fear into a singular focus. The day ahead was pivotal. She would meet with her mother again to further discuss their collaboration, to assess how best they could work together on this project. Megan imagined what those discussions might entail, each thought mingling with the excitement of creating something impactful for their community. But the lingering shadows of self-doubt still echoed nearby, reminding her that it wasn't just about the success of the project, it would determine how she viewed herself in relation to her mother. As she gathered her notes, a knock on the door echoed in the small house, and her mother stepped in, an eager expression illuminating her face. "Ready to dive in, Megan?" she asked, a slight smile forming on her lips. Her mother seemed energized, and for the first time in years, that spark of enthusiasm felt mutual. "Yes, let's do this," Megan replied, her voice imbued with newfound confidence. Together, they laid out the framework of their plan, blending Megan's passion with her mother's pragmatic approach. They discussed timelines, potential collaborations, and the community meetings that would need to happen. As they moved deeper into the details, a moment came when Megan felt an urge to dig deeper, not just into the project, but into their relationship. Gathering courage, she decided to broach the topic she had long avoided. "Mom, can we talk about how this project reflects who I am? About my journey too?" Her mother's demeanor changed slightly, intrigue replacing uncertainty. "What do you mean?" Megan held her breath, choosing her words carefully. "I need you to understand that this isn't simply about success on a surface level. It's a reclaiming of my ambitions and dreams, not just for me, but for our family. It's the chance for you to see the person I am becoming." Silence fell momentarily, but then her mother nodded slowly, processing her daughter's transformation. "I think I've held on to my fears for so long, Megan. I've equated security with love. I see now that it's time for me to let go." In that moment, something shifted tangibly in the air. A subtle recognition danced between them, creating a bridge built on mutual understanding and respect. It felt refreshing and liberating to share such honesty. They moved past the tensions that had kept them apart, awakening a collaborative spirit. As they continued mapping out their plans, Megan felt lighter. The clarity of her goals infused her with a solid sense of self. They outlined actionable steps, setting dates for community workshops and strategies for outreach. There was no longer just the weight of ambition hanging in the air, but a buoyancy of hope to elevate it. Days turned into weeks. Megan and her mother worked diligently, their collaboration transforming into a genuine partnership woven with faith and appreciation. With each meeting, barriers diminished, and Megan began to feel an unwavering confidence in her abilities. As they approached the final stages of their project, the nervousness was replaced with exhilaration. Their first community meeting was just around the corner. The night before the meeting, Megan lay in bed, her mind cascading with what-ifs and dreams of what could come next. She had envisioned a gathering of farmers, families, and friends, all eager to engage, all yearning for change. The prospect felt monumental, yet this was the moment she had prepared for. The actual meeting day dawned bright and clear, and as Megan prepared to present, she could feel every heartbeat resonate with purpose. She stood before the crowd, words flowing with genuine passion, igniting spirits as she articulated the vision they had crafted together. Every attendee listened intently, nodding along as she discussed collective strategies designed to break through soil barriers. It was more than a proposal, it was a shared commitment to a brighter future. When the applause echoed in the quiet hall, it wasn't the sound of acclaim that resonated deepest, it was an acknowledgement that they were all part of something bigger. In that moment, Megan felt powerful not just as a leader but as a connector, a bridge between generations and ideologies. By the end of the meeting, families signed up eagerly to participate, and enthusiasm surged for the project they had collectively birthed. As she stepped down from the stage beside her mother, a profound sense of fulfillment enveloped her. In looking at her mother, Megan recognized the woman seated next to her wasn't the disappointing figure of her past but a partner in this journey, deserving of her respect and love. For the first time, Megan fully claimed her narrative, empowered by the knowledge of who she was and who she could still become. And in that moment, she understood, True growth entails not just personal achievement but the forging of connections that elevate those around us. The experience had solidified her confidence, laid the groundwork for her aspirations, and begun the healing process of her relationship with her mother. Resolved, she whispered to herself, "I have conquered my fears, I have transformed my life." Now was the time to embrace every facet of this journey, every small victory, every deep acknowledgement of ambition, every act of collaboration. In doing so, Megan had finally proven to herself that her dreams were not just possible, they were inevitable. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share.